Yeah, yeah. Coming up on Mental Health Matters with Marty, it's that time, y'all. Hot topics. Stay tuned for what's going on in our community, culture, and Christ. What's up, everybody? Yes, it's me. It's your host, your mental health hygienist, Martina Sellers, coming to you live and in living color, where we always do it here in Southern California, where the sun is always shining and that heat index, y'all pray for us, is getting hot. I got my sweat towel. My brother got his. Listen, we as part of the Sellers gene, we can't even help it anymore. But we are so glad that you have joined us for yet another edition of Mental Health Marty. And what is it? It's the first Tuesday of the month. So I got my team here, the dream team, the A team. I'm so excited about them joining me every first Tuesday of the month. And let me say this, June is also Men's Health Awareness Month. June is Black Music Awareness Month and Black Music Month, but this is the first Tuesday, and for most of us across the nation, this is one of the, I was going to say primary elections, but this is one of the runoff elections that we do have to vote. So if you have not gotten out there and vote, please get out there and vote before those polls close. You got about 50 minutes here in Southern California on the Pacific time to make sure, because your vote counts. Y'all, we can't just talk about it, but we have to be about it when it comes to voting and making sure that we still have access and that the rights that we fought so hard for and our forefathers that fought so hard for us to have today are not taken away by a handful of people who want to control the population. Okay, with that being said, what is the purpose of Mental Health Marty? I am so glad that you asked that amazing question. The Mental Health Marty Show is an educational tool that is designed for informational and psychoeducational purposes only. We are not a substitute for your mental health. We are not a substitute for you seeing your psychiatrist, your psychologist, your therapist, your doctor, your pastor, I was going to go and say some other things. But anyway, yes, we are a part of your treatment plan and not a substitute for you not going to your AA, your triple A, or any other A meetings that you need to go to. But we are here as a tool to help you along the way. Listen, it's been that type of day, y'all. So glad. But how do you stay in contact with us, and how can you engage in the conversations? I'm so glad that you asked that. How do you engage? If you are on any other platform, unless you're on Mental Health Marty on the YouTube channel, that's how we see your comments with that. So listen, how do you do that? Please go to the YouTube, not just YouTube, the YouTube, and find Mental Health Marty. On there, please subscribe. And then every time when you subscribe to us, we will definitely inform you every time we have a show. We're every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Those of you on the East Coast, we are so glad that you have joined us and staying up late. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But we got an exciting show for us. If you did not see the doctors on last week, you need to go back and look at those. Those doctors were phenomenal as they talked about from a mental and medical perspective what Roe v. Wade really does look like. And why that is such an important issue for us to continue to have these conversations and sit down and talk to our families about. But let me go here. This is the first Tuesday of the month. I get so excited because I have my team, my loved ones with me that are here to join me. So I'm just going to jump right into it. Daryl, are we ready? Because I am ready. Coming up is my sister from another mister, none other than the Reverend Dr. Marguerita Story. What's going on, sis?
Hey, baby, how you doing? It's so good to see you. Thank you for having me.
Listen, you're part of this show,
I am so grateful
baby.
that we're together. Well,
always,
thank you,
always.
Jesus.
Yes, and we got to make this happen soon. How is Philly treating you, my dear?
Yeah.
How's Philly treating you these days?
Wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Things are wonderful, and you are the best part of my evening. Being with you, Bishop, your brother, I am just so grateful. And our Mac in the bag, it gives me joy to be with my brothers.
Yes, I look forward to this time all the time because this is one of the time, we
Yes,
talk quite a bit, but I love this. My mother,
yes,
we were out eating today and she goes, it's Tuesday. My favorites are on tonight. I'm like, I'm on every Tuesday. But she says, Dr. Story and Bishop and my son,
yes,
Bob. I was like,
yes,
oh, little Bob. But it's all good. Baby, you're looking good.
yes, yes. Thank you for lying to me, honey. I needed to hear that before I rested tonight because I'm telling you, I feel like I've been rode hard and put up with. And Sean, you could be quiet. You don't even have to. I don't need a response from Bishop.
Since we're talking about Bishop, let's bring him on all the way from Houston, where it's too hot and the humidity slaps you in your face. None other than the Bishop
Got news.
himself, the Reverend Dr.
Yes,
Sean D. Stewart.
Well, good evening,
Bishop,
family.
yes.
Rode hard
That's my
and put
brother.
up with. Just know I've got a lot of conversation about that later on. We will revisit that conversation
we'll
later.
revisit
I
that.
just want to put that out there that we will revisit that later. That and
I
the back in
love
the
you
back. Those are
guys.
two things we got to talk about. So good to see all of y'all.
Thank you, Jesus.
I would not lie. I
I'll
got
call
on.
you.
I got ready last week to be on, and I was like, oh, well, I'm a week early.
Hey,
And
better early than late, right?
I was a week early. I look forward to this. We get a chance to talk, get
Thank
to
you,
connect.
Lord.
Always good to see the people that we love, and
That's
to
right.
see them all
Yes,
as often
yes,
as we can. So it's good to be here. And yes, the heat is mean.
Yes.
We're gonna
yes.
break 100 by Friday in Texas. And so let
My
me tell you,
God,
for all of you who live
my
on the
God.
East and the West Coast, the reason you all struggle to get to heaven is because you haven't lived in Texas. Your golden
My
ticket
God.
to get to heaven is if you live in this heat in Texas.
No, sir.
You get
No,
Yes,
sir.
automatic
Jesus.
pass. You don't have.
Mm-mm.
We don't care if you Pentecostal, Jesus only, apostolic. If you live in Texas, you automatically get a
We
pass
go
into heaven.
straight to heaven.
Yeah.
Well, now
That can't.
I have it. Yeah, I have experience there.
I don't know because y'all Texas politicians is giving us hell right here on earth. So I don't know if they get a pass or not. But anyway, let's bring on my brother. He is my real brother, y'all, and I love him so much. Listen, this is none other than my brother, Bobby.
Good to
Whoa,
see him.
whoa. I have nothing to say.
It's safe. Don't say
All these
nothing. It ain't. It's safe.
Hey, I have nothing to say. I cannot top anything after these two guests appeared before all of us.
No.
No words at the moment. All I'm saying is I'm
This
thankful
this
that
is
I
a
am here.
tribe. Yes.
I'm thankful.
Listen. Listen, Bobby. You always reading
Yeah.
something and on, but before the show I mean,
Yes.
read.
Yeah.
That's good. You're the reader of the family. I just skim and then just act like I know what I'm talking about. But don't
Stop
you
it.
say nothing,
Stop it.
Bishop.
Stop it. Stop it.
I didn't,
You know how to read to get a whole lot of degrees. I know that much. So
You read
you
the
cannot
first
get
chapter
you or Lisa
and the
cannot get
last
any more
chapter.
degrees. Talk about reading. You guys trying to
Well,
compete at a
I,
very unfair advantage. Okay, but anyway.
but these two are doctors. I got to get to their level, you know. And there's an
Say
honorary. Now
whatever.
I can go pay for an honorary one.
It's okay.
But anyway,
Hey, it's okay.
what's
I
up,
understand.
man?
I
and I
understand.
wish you would walk up in front of me with that behind your name.
You ain't giving no credence.
DD mean you didn't do it.
Oh,
Mm,
oh.
mm,
Okay.
mm,
Anyway,
mm,
I just want
we
to
got
be
some.
clear.
Next.
I guess I won't have a DD. Oops. Let me just take my
Sideline.
Avion water and cool off.
Oh God,
It's
yeah.
real heat. I see it's real hot down there in Texas.
Listen, you get a free pass to heaven if you live here.
No, you
You
don't.
get a pass.
Don't believe the hype, because some of them think they're getting a free pass. They might bust hell wide open. But anyway, let's
Listen.
talk about. We got some topics, y'all. We got some topics. Let's jump right in. Let's talk
Yes.
about. Can we talk about, because there's such a divide when we're still talking about this Roe versus Wade, the abortion, all of that. There's a divide in Christendom. There's a divide in our community. There's just a divide. Bishop then did a side, like he's like, I don't even want to deal with this. But what's
Here is
really
my
going
issue.
on, yo?
Well, first off,
Okay.
let's get out there. First off, I have searched all over, and I have yet to find evangelical Christian in the Bible. I've yet to find it.
Well,
I found Christian, but I've not found the
Right.
adjective that pre-describes. The second thing I want to talk about, if you're going to mandate that that women have to have a baby, could you at least fund social services, Medicaid, and Medicare, so when the parent gives the child
Well,
up for adoption, we have a way to
Right.
fund the kid beyond 18 years of age? Because this is what happened. Kid turns 18, they put him out. They homeless. All the money cuts off.
Yeah.
We have not prepared them to live. So that if you're going to say have the baby on one end, but don't fund children protective services, Medicare, Medicaid, then why in the hell are you even talking about, oh, we want you to have the baby? No, you want us to have the baby so then we can populate the prisons. Say what you mean. Because you will fund the
Talk.
No
prison.
question.
You will fund a
That's real
contract for
talk.
privatized prison. But you will not
Uh-huh.
fund education. You will not fund teachers to be paid. You will not fund therapists, social emotional learning. You will not pay for people to come in. But you will fund. So just say you need us to have the kids so we can put them in prison. And stop pretending that you're really concerned about, because I really want to get out there. If we were
Relabor.
to if we would allow women to write rules about where men penises went and what happened to them, I'm almost willing to bet you cheese crackers that people
Not
would
cheese
begin
crackers.
to change their belief about what a woman's private uterus should be and the decision she should make.
Ooh, Bobby, talk to us, because you drew back on that one.
Well, it makes perfect sense. Everything he dropped is nothing but jewels and what we need to be following. Because, like you said,
Right.
how are you going to say, okay, have the baby, but you don't fund the baby? And like you said, okay, we're gonna go this route. Well, we're gonna populate the jail system. You know, we can't. We it's all about free labor. Same thing. Same entity. Soon as we got over here, free labor. What we can do with them? We can't actually say they're slaves, but we're just gonna incarcerate them. You know, play with the word, play with the same thing.
So we're
Same as
doing
you said.
semantics and have modern day slavery. Okay, Dr. Story, talk to me.
It's in the Constitution.
Well, I'm struggling with the fight for a fetus, but you don't have a fight for the lives of those that are already living. So you don't value the lives
Wow,
of
that's
black
good.
and
That's
brown
good.
people already,
That's good.
but you want to fight for a fetus. And I'm not I'm not suggesting
Right.
that we shouldn't fight for all life, but the
Right.
control of life is not in anybody's
Mm-hmm.
hands but God. but
Mm-hmm.
but but you the things we could do with the life that is around us, we can't legislate, we can't seem to
Mm-hmm.
get gun laws, we can't seem to get
Mm.
equal anything going on, but
Mm-hmm.
we do have a statement that we want to make, and just as Bishop is saying, bring them in and still not
Mm-hmm.
value their lives.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
it is a system that is trying to legitimize life on one end, but delegitimize life on another end.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We don't value it because that's so true. And can we then talk about, since we're talking about this, what do we do with those who now the mental health of them? Because I'm so concerned about the mental health of just our nation as a whole. Because we're not healthy. It's clear to see that we're far from being healthy. So we now have folks having, and I say it this way, unwanted pregnancies. We're having folks that's now going to do whatever they can to terminate pregnancies. We have schools, kids being shot up, but no one is talking about what are we doing with the mental health around these people to make sure that we're making. I don't want to say better choices because that's just a broadened thing. And then secondly, just because someone is pro-choice does not mean they don't value life. And that's what where we get this
That's right.
conversation. Go ahead, Dr. Story.
Hmm.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and pro life is all life though, because see, you can't be pro life at the womb, but not pro life all the way through to the tomb. So I love
Hmm.
what you're saying, and pro choice doesn't mean, because see, I don't even like the whole process that you got to go through,
Right.
because you got to go
Right.
through a place called Planned Parenthood. Like
Hmm.
who is over my
That's
plan?
good. Right. Oh. Oh.
And it's that's why I don't even like
Oh.
when you look at this whole thing. And trust me, if somebody don't want something to happen, baby, it ain't gonna happen. I don't care what
It ain't
nobody
gonna happen.
say. Whether
Hmm.
you got a law or whatever you got, but this controls the have-nots. This doesn't control the
Hmm.
haves, because see, this isn't an issue of whether or not Polly is going to be able to get rid of that biracial baby. That's not the
Oh.
question.
Oh.
This is
Oh.
the question of the population of those who we are oppressing and the control. Because
Hmm.
see, even when you call the place where we get our care Planned Parenthood, come on
Plan,
now.
parent. It's not planned for most of them.
Mm-mm.
Yes.
It is not,
Yes. Yes.
and no matter what it is, but then the choice is keep or take away, and the plan got to be it is it's so much more that goes along with it. And
Hmm.
so when you were bringing up the issue of mental health, when you're talking about even making a choice for yourself,
Hmm.
there's some mental health needs that are there,
Yes.
even when you've got to begin to talk about whether or not you're terminating or even continuing with the child. But both of those
Hmm.
are they're mental health needs that are right there. They're right
And
there.
those
It's just
decisions are steep. Those decisions aren't just shallow. Those decisions are steep.
Yes. Yes.
You don't just get
Yes.
to
absolutely.
walk off from a decision about do you have a baby? Do you terminate the pregnancy? Do you, if
Hmm.
you keep the child, do you like those decisions are steep. Those aren't just shallow decisions. And the fact that we can write legislation about those things
Hmm.
without the people it impacts at the table is just insane. You wouldn't
Yes.
let,
It is.
you would not let a bus driver, a city bus driver, make hard decisions for your surgery because
Mm.
there's no
Hmm.
training.
Oh, that's good.
But you will let a
That's good.
legislator who is not a female, hasn't become transgender, has not had to suffer through the question of, make a decision on a policy without checking with their constituents to see if the policy they're even supporting matches the needs of the people that they have. And I'm gonna just put this out there. There is no way I could work in education and have the performance statistics of the Congress and the Senate and still maintain my job.
This is true.
It makes no sense that we can't get common sense things, common sense birth control, common sense. There is no reason, even if you disagree, at least vote on it.
But look how many states do not support birth control and will not pay for birth control. When on the doctors, when they were sharing that last week, I was blown away because that's a very, I don't want to say a simple solution, but it helps those. And we can definitely look at something so we don't have to get to the abortion rate.
Marty. If you put that back in place, you give them a choice. What this is doing is saying that a woman isn't even a quarter of a person. She's not even a full person. We're saying that we can legislate your uterus regardless of what you think, how you got pregnant. If you were raped, there is not even any space to deal with rape and incest. I'm still waiting on my governor to go figure out how he's gonna remove all of the rapists from the state of Texas when he can't even get the people with the guns to stop shooting kids.
Well,
let's go
we need to do something else.
We need
to have a whole we need to be praying for him because there's something wrong with him. But one of the things because y'all got a whole mess down there with that governor. Y'all got a whole mess down there with that governor.
Don't want to talk about
one of the things that you bring up. One of the things that
I want to say something so bad about him, and it's like I don't get it.
What you got
I really
to say,
don't get
Bobby?
it. He's a minority. He's a minority.
What's he say? Come on.
What I mean is, he's a minority. I don't know what his issue is. He sits a little lower to the ground than others. So you would think that he would have a little bit more empathy. You would think that he have a little bit more empathy of what's going on.
Come back, Bishop.
You're right about
That's
it.
all I'm saying.
But you're right about it. And
you're right about
only
it.
is he a minority, he is a double minority.
Yes.
Pretending to be a majority that does not exist.
Yes.
Woo. Because see, if he would come out as bold as he was about coming out with these abortion laws, I wish he'd come on out with this timeline about how those babies got murdered. I ain't never seen him this quiet before since he took office.
Right.
Quiet
as a hush until all over this Austin. It's a hush.
Yeah. It seems like he has an answer for everything except for this situation. Answer real quick. Everything you answer the situation. Hold up. That's all. I don't understand it. It's like how are you a
mental
biased?
illness? Racism is not mental illness. I'm gonna say it again. Racism is not mental illness. Racism is taught. It is learned, and then it is executed.
Behavior. Yes.
So racism. Mitch, John Cornyn, Greg, Dan Patrick is not a mental illness.
And can I say this too? The American Association of Counseling came out and made a statement and said racism is not a mental illness. So quit trying to put that on our field because it is not. And they did a statement across everything, and so is Camp out here in California and NAMI and all that. The mental health we are speaking up saying racism is not a mental illness.
No,
you cannot diagnose it.
No, racism is basically the competitiveness of a group over wealth, power, and resources and ownership. That's racism.
Right.
That's Listen, you're talking good to me.
You know.
Let me go back though because I don't want to skirt. Oh, go on.
Okay, go ahead.
No. Go ahead. That's all I was making a point.
Okay,
mental health is totally not what I just said. No way.
Right.
No way.
Right. Go ahead.
Right. I just wanted to go back to the issue of of women's bodies and
Yes. Yes.
utilizing birth control and us having the right to do that. Let me just tell you about birth control. It's so unnatural, and it is something that our bodies many times are struggling with. So it is a lot of times when people say, why are women ended up getting pregnant when birth control is all over the place? I wish
Talk to
y'all
us.
could
Talk
take a
to us.
birth control pill or a Depo-Provera shot and allow that
Uh-oh.
stuff to bloat you, make you fit, because
Uh-oh.
it unbalance, it messes with our hormonal balance, and our
Wow.
whole bodies are off because it is unnatural. And so many times it is not somebody being negligent in receiving access to some kind of sexual
Right, 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 right.
or things that can help them produce or not produce children. But it is also trying to listen to your body at times and say,
Mm.
this thing is just not, something else has got to be done. And so also we've got to look at that. But when we're looking at Roe versus Wade, especially with the evangelicals and with those who are quote unquote Christian or whatever it is, they're trying to hold on to when life begins.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And making the suggestion that is murder. But there
Mm-hmm.
have been so many atrocities against
Yes.
individuals that if we roll back just a few generations, then everybody in their late 80s and 90s could be considered murderers, or at least
Right.
those who were
Accessories.
participating
Accessories.
in
Yes.
and accessories too. And so the question that, why are you laughing?
Because I said
Why is he
accessory. Yeah,
laughing at us?
that's all right. Go
They
ahead. Read
are
it.
accessories. Well, not
Yes.
like accessories like this. This is an accessory.
Right.
But I mean
Yes.
accessories to a crime. But
You're
we've got to
right.
start looking at that, and then those who are accustomed to creating laws that oppress are still in that role doing it, and many of us are sitting back asking for permission over our own
Yes.
health care, and
Yes.
we've got to stop acting like we've got to ask for permission for health care,
Mm-hmm.
because this
Mm-hmm.
is a
That's good.
question of health care. This is not a
Yes.
question of whether or not you believe a
That's
fetus
good.
is alive or not.
That's good. So
That's
we got
all
to
I
get
want to
back to
say
the
on that.
basics.
And then,
Well,
No question.
I appreciate you. I appreciate.
No
Can
question.
we shift? Since we talked about this and talked about how we not even protecting those children and those elderlies,
mhm,
we have devalued life. Can we talk about there have been
mhm,
almost 300, y'all, and thank you for correcting my number pre-show because I said over 200. Y'all said, well, we knocked it on 300 door. 300 mass shootings this year in 2022 alone. There's a problem. And we're ignoring the
mhm,
elephant in the room. We want to have stricter background checks on people coming to pick up their children. We want to teach better survival skills like we in Iraq or that in the schoolrooms. We want to have guards do all this. But what do we do? And what is our stance on when we're talking about gun violence? And Bishop, I'm hearing you also loud and clear about the healing process for those who are suffering in silence about what has gone on in their lives.
I think we have to talk about first that the the officers are given specific firearms because of the
Mm-hmm.
location that they work, the job that they're doing. The
Mm-hmm.
reason that in Buffalo, the officer that was on duty couldn't get a shot through is because the gentleman had on military grade
Yes.
vests that
double R.
repelled the bullets. So the
Yes.
officer was getting the shot to the man, shooting directly, but it never touched the body because of the armor. Well, my question
Right.
is, what would happen if we remove the ability for military grade armor,
That's
military
right.
grade guns, weapons,
Weapons.
clips, bullets, to not be sold, then it would put the officers in a better position to actually save lives. But if you got a 38 caliber pistol going up against a shielding military that's designed to repel an AR-15 bullet, then the reason that officer died wasn't that he wasn't trained, wasn't that he was not prepared. It was that the tools given were not designed to fight the battle he was in. We got to talk about that. Where in Texas, I think that the federal government needs to step in, Department of Ed and the ATF and the FBI, because there's one question nobody's answering. 19 kids, 2 teachers died with officers outside of the building. The man who made the decision for those officers not to go in is still free and employed. There is no way I could still be free and be employed if the shoe was on the other foot. By now, tell the truth. You would have served my head to the nation, Greg Abbott. But because this was a nightmare on every end, we're being quiet. I think the quietness is the highest level of disrespect, because now you're lying and you're sustaining the lie by being silent. Even demons know to scream when they get before the glory of God. So you mean to tell me, and I said it, and I meant it. You mean to tell me you can find rules to write about critical race theory, and we don't even have that in any of the scope and sequence that we teach? But you got a silence about those kids that died,
sir,
and the 2 teachers who died, and then you want to blame it on. So then a teacher left the door open. Then all of a sudden you had to roll that back. But now I got to give that teacher credit on one thing. She did something most folks wouldn't have done. Instead of her going public to defend her name, she took a page out of their book, got a lawyer, and made the lawyer make them go back and take it back. We have to own that, because here is my issue. If you say that I'm not educated, qualified, certified enough to teach reading, writing, math, or arithmetic, even though I'm certified to do so, have degrees to support it, but if I'm not qualified enough to choose literature to teach a student, then why would you want to give me a gun?
That's right.
No way if I'm educationally unstable, somewhere I must be emotionally unstable also. I'm just saying. So it doesn't make sense.
That's crazy.
This murder in Uvalde, I could see maybe if there was a mental issue there, but there is nothing that pointed to it. But in Buffalo, it was clear racism.
Yes.
That's not a mental illness, Mitch.
Yes. No, sir. No, sir.
It's straight crazy how it's straight crazy how they put in the notion that teachers need to arm themselves. Wow, they can't even buy paper clips. But anyhow, get back what the bishop was saying exactly. It's very, very limited rules that they might change on gun control. However, it passes the House, it always stops at the Senate.
Absolutely.
The bill right after the Buffalo shooting, less than a week matter of time, the House passed the bill, gun legislation. The House, goes to the Senate, stops. Senate,
you can't even get an up or down vote on it. How can you keep your job? Like, your goal is to legislate. You don't even vote. You won't bring it up to vote. You don't even want to be on record.
We had to vote those senators out. That's how you have to pay attention
to. Should have left when Jesus found out he was trying to ask.
You had to vote those senators out. That's why it's important to know Civics 101. You have to vote them out.
It's up to those in that state to do that. We can't do it. They have to do it. They really do.
We got to do it at every state, though. Every state needs to vote all of the senators out, because they're the ones that are holding it up. The other thing is that somebody's palms are getting greased. Somebody getting some money. Have you
seen what the NRA is paying these days?
But that's why they can't move on it. They're getting monies in their state. They're getting monies in those schools. They're getting monies that is ensuring that they're silent. But we've got to do, just like Bobby say, make sure that we let them know. We know you're culpable and you're out of here, because the shootings are not just in Texas. If you look at this list that
Right.
continues to grow, it is in
Ooh,
nearly every state,
every
almost
state.
every week, and it is ridiculous. And the Senate need to have a full on sweep. I don't care if you're Democrat, I don't care if you're Republican, you need out, because the reality is you got to stand up for something. This has gone on too long. Sandy Hook went on, and we thought that somehow
Yes.
something was going to be
Yes.
done, and absolutely
Yes.
nothing was done. And
Nothing.
now you got these little bitty children once again, that this nation is watching babies being shot down once again, and the Senate is quiet, and then we've got
Yes.
all of this rhetoric going on that is nonsense, that people act like they can't filter through. I don't care what the politicians are saying. What is the street saying? That we are not safe.
Would
And
not
just
listen
like
to the streets.
Bishop, oh, well, you better listen to your late night news, baby. They'll tell you who got shot and where it is.
Right.
Also, people go.
Right.
Also, people go to fec.gov. That shows you where the lobbyist money is going to. fec.gov.
Okay.
It shows you where the lobbyist money goes to.
Yeah.
Senators, representatives of Congress. So
Yes.
that shows you where that lobby
Yes.
money is going. Lobbyists
Yeah.
pushing the bills. Okay.
That's right.
Well, here's the question I
They're
have.
dropping that
So,
in.
my brother just texted me. He's watching, and he texted me, and it is funny what he said. He raised the question. He said, "Have you ever wondered why the per capita per person for what the states get for education is half of what it costs for them to house a prisoner every year?"
That's right. That's right.
So I got to looking at it, and we get $9,200 a year in the state of Texas to educate one child. But then you go look at the prison budget; they are $22,500 on the low end for a prisoner in a state-funded facility. If they are in a federally privatized facility, then they could be almost $30,000 a year. But we only pay $9,200 to educate one student per year.
Well, that means they'd rather invest in a prisoner than the actual child or student, because off the prisoner, if they're getting $30,000, just imagine what he's flipping for free labor.
Right, because we have now
slavery.
commercialized and privatized prison systems. One of the ones that I don't know if they still had it, but was Microsoft. They was just like, hey, let's put all this in there, and so we got to look at that. And please, let me, yeah.
So let's get to the healing part of that, Marty. I don't want to drop that.
Yeah,
we now talk about when we, we watched that the people went down to Uvalde to help reconstruct some of those babies' bodies because those bullets just mutilated their bodies.
Oh my God! Oh my God! That was just
one
crazy.
Student, the parent had to use the sweat within the tennis shoe. Let's be clear about that.
Yes,
DNA.
They had to do a DNA swab from the sweat within the baby's tennis shoe, and they had to provide the baby's toothbrush and hairbrush in order for them to get what was left of their baby's remains to have a funeral. No one is talking about how the people who survived will need medical, mental support.
Yes.
The survivors of this, if you go back and listen to that teacher, he did the Hail Mary and a prayer because he was prepared to die, only to wake up and found out that every kid he was protecting died. Now watch this.
Died.
He did everything they trained him to do, and every kid he had died.
Yeah.
No one has talked about what kind of psychological support he's going to need. He's going to have survivor's remorse. We already know if he retirement or he's going to do something else. And then what does mental health, and it can't just be put him on Prozac, Zoloft, and send him to therapy. That's just not what this is. This is now post-traumatic stress syndrome magnified by the oppression that you are a minority, murdered by a minority. On top of, you've got leadership in your city, in your state, who do not believe in your safety, and they still want you to come back to work.
Right.
What This man asked the parents, he said, I've done everything they trained me to do.
Right.
And I couldn't save any of your children. Please don't be mad at me. Can you imagine?
He is pleading with the parents
Yes.
to let them
Yes.
know he tried everything he possibly could when your
And it
best
didn't save.
is still not good enough.
Mm-mm.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then to face those, to drive out in your community and to see those parents, that memorial. So then, okay, guess what? So then you're going to close the school down, which is fine. You're going to shut it down and move. It still does not remove the pain that exists in the city. And the mayor is right on one hand requesting help, but I think they all shysty on another. There is no way that if this would have happened in Houston, Mayor Sylvester Turner would take his hands off of the throttle by now. Right, he would be lighting everybody up. He would be on the TV every day trying to figure out who he can get here to help overturn this information and to get a true sense of what happened out. I don't understand why it is so hard to tell the truth that the systems, the protocols, and the procedures failed the people. Just say it.
It miserably failed the people. Mm-hmm. Now, we are here in California, and I was having a talk with my pastor just today, and we're definitely putting together a forum because we are going to be putting together a series of forums to talk to the children, because they're having a lot of PTSD that's coming along with this, even though it is secondary in that because they've heard it and experienced, and it's too close to them. A lot of parents don't know what to say to their kids. And so we have to, and this is what I'm charging us as clergy and as church members and all that, we have to have the conversations. We got to stop waiting on other people to provide the services that we need and that's already in the house. Call up every clinician, doctor, teacher, or what have you in your congregations and start having the conversations and having the grief support groups, the children, all of those things. Turn your vacation Bible schools, turn your Sunday schools, turn your Sunday morning worships into group sessions so that your people can start to heal. We cannot do church as usual, expecting just to shout and not do anything with helping the people right where they are at. The shout is in the healing, not the beforehand. We got to change that thing around.
We got to care. We got to care.
We got to open the doors to everybody, especially in those positions. Just listen to them. And then give them some instructions, whatever the case may be, to help them out.
Hell no.
Okay, he said hell no.
No. We talk to us.
There's no institutions built for it. There's no institutions built for it.
It is not. But here is my push. You're right, but I'm pushing. We've been screaming. Forums, we've been screaming, get people together. No, you know why people don't come? Because people need to be paid for their time. And the days of doing stuff for free at the church died in 1964.
Right. That's before I was born.
If we are going to do this, we have got to get people in place who can help us get the funding. And then when you get the funding, bro, pastor, and your CEOs, don't go do something crooked. Actually put it to where it belongs. That's right. You can have therapists in the church. There is no such thing as ministry without mental health. It does not exist anymore. The pews and the pulpit are depressed. The pews and the pulpit can get healing in the same place. The middle of the church is the altar for a reason.
That's good.
All the business of the church happens at the altar. We need to take this do in remembrance of me and slide it over. Set some chairs out there, put some mics up there and say, this is what I do for a living. This is how I can support you. Does anybody need to see me? Church, your benevolence fund, if you're keeping the lights on in a house, but you're not keeping the lights on here, we're still missing the purpose of benevolence.
That's good.
Your tithes and offering should not be to keep the lights on in the church. If you're not taking care of the people in the pews, we're missing the mark of ministry. Yes. Trade in your Cadillac, get rid of your Lincoln, go get your Hyundai.
Right. Gas costs $7.79 in
And
LA
go put
anyway.
some of that money back toward the needs of your people. Don't just preach to them, shout them spiritually, and then don't feed them mentally, clothe them emotionally, and then don't send them out dressed physically. That is witchcraft in its finest form. We are ultimately failing not just the church. We're missing the cause of the Great Commission because we're playing politics over people.
Bobby, I saw your face, and then Dr. Story.
What I was talking about was we have to build the institution of mental health. We have to build that institution. Obviously, the institution is not here, and what I was speaking on as far as we got to listen and talk to people also. But however, we talk about these children, but also did we forget about what was going on as far as in the Baptist Commission? What was that, the Baptist Church, when those findings came out? Did we forget about that?
Oh,
I didn't hear too many
Southern
of
Baptist
us
Convention.
talk about that.
No, we didn't talk about that at all. Southern Baptist Convention.
That report. What's the deal with that?
Yeah, Margarita, your mic is off somehow.
That's in-house. That's inside. That's different from
your mic is still off, sister.
Social.
We can't hear nothing you're saying.
That's different from the social kids, but we're doing this to our own kids within our own community, with our own building.
Right, but you're right. You're right. And they're talking about that. Said the findings from that will make the Catholic Church look like nursery rhymes.
Sir, listen. I mean a nursery rhyme from hell. Let me just get on out there and say it.
I don't know about that, because the Catholic Church, they're the ones who can commission the slavery. So I don't know.
Well, but the Catholic Church also drove this thing about abortions.
The
U.S. wasn't smart enough to come up with that on their own. The slavery, I said it. They were not.
Well,
that whole conversation was pushed right out of the Catholic Church.
Yes.
So we need to own that when we start talking about oppression, it's not a social issue. It's actually a spiritual issue turned social by force. And it has been monetized through political gains.
I hear you, and I'm totally agreement with you that we have to do something different when it comes to mental health and the church. We have to look at the partnerships. I don't want to be the pastor. Hallelujah. That's the last thing. But I want to help the pastor in helping his people and helping and not just his people or her people, but our people, because they all belong to us. There are different things. And imagine that, because you said it best too. Your mental health counseling and spiritual counseling are two different entities. They're two different counseling. When you're teaching and although you could definitely do mental health because that's part of your degree and your calling too. With that, Dr. Story, we got you back on here.
Let's go back. The ethics do not allow such a thing to happen.
Well, you're absolutely right. But we don't know the ethics in the church. That's the problem.
Watch this.
We don't even realize that we are mandated reporters.
Watch this. If you operate in pulpit ethics, then any level of ethics should not be scared of you. The reason ethics bother you is because you don't operate in any form of ethics personally. So then publicly they upset you. So then really it's not ethics we need to be looking at. It is your self-discipline we need to observe more closely, parenthetically speaking, to the pericope of such a self-conversation.
Dr. Story, you back on, darling. Talk to us.
Discipline.
Go ahead,
I believe that this whole thing is a heart matter in the church. I believe that the heart of what we do and how we've been doing what we've been doing for so long is now being exposed. That's why I don't know if the church ought to be the place where we're trying to get healing in the community because of what is so corrupt in the congregation and in its leadership. And I hear, y'all, I'm a part of the church, but if somebody legitimately needs some assistance, it is too challenging for me to say, go here and go there. There are a few of y'all I know by name. I know I can get them to Bishop Sean. I know I can get them to Marty, but there are too many people that I can't say, baby, find yourself a church, because you can go to one of them Southern Baptist churches where where the pastor's having sex with the children and then don't nobody want to say nothing. Or you can go to one of the Black Baptist churches where they not only having sex with children, but they also having sex with the adults, and everybody is family up in the house. Or you could go to a church where the pastor is so ambivalent to the needs of anybody else. Did y'all want me
Family
to
up in the house.
or y'all want me to be quiet? And we're supposed to be a place of healing, and we're the place that most people have gotten
Talk to us, Story.
Ain't the place to send them. They need to go somewhere they can get some help, because they will leave us spiritually, mentally, and emotionally traumatized.
Yes.
Now, that's all I got to say.
And then say that we need to pray.
Yes, that's right.
And then say we instead I'm a firm believer. Trauma that you are right, Rita. Hurt and healing happens in the same house.
It does.
It does.
The only difference is that it can't. You beat me to it. It can. But you got to get some people in place whose integrity is intact to do such a thing.
Hold on.
I agree with you, Bobby.
Confidentiality. It is not for you to use that to preach on Sunday.
But they
not
do.
only that though, but we got too many people who got a title but don't have any education. We've got too many people got a title and got no training. We got too many people got a title, got the education, and don't care if you live or die. That's a part of our heart. God has called us to love one another. And if we can't love one another who we say we know who God is, and we're that corrupt with other Christians, now we got people with conditions who need to know who Christ is. God ain't gonna trust us with the people, and he should not. Because of our heart. Our heart is not the same heart that God has. And I get with you, Bishop, when you're talking about evangelical, that ain't in the Bible. But I'm telling you, evangelical is in the dictionary. And because it's in the dictionary, it done lined itself up with the House and the Senate. And we are utilizing faith against those who need the power of God. Now, that's all I got to say.
I will point you to this. My church down home.
Bobby, are you okay?
But listen, because that's what you need some oxygen, baby. Breathe.
Look at God. Look at God.
No, this kind of stuff messes me up because, Bobby, you brought up the Southern Baptists. They got a doggone list of all the charges that these folks have been through. Oh, excuse me, I'm hitting stuff. But and it has been for years and undercover, and nobody said anything. If the three of us on here got in trouble, we would be on Newsweek, CNN, Fox. They would be talking to our grandparents that's dead. They would be at my mother's headstone trying to find out where she came from, because they would be exploiting the fact that we're African Americans. They would be exploiting the fact that we supposedly had education, but they got individuals who the leadership of the church swept it under the rug, and they continue to do it. And they've also put money into sweeping things under the rug. Y'all, we got to get the heart
and
of
it's
the
the money of the hardworking people. I call that misappropriation of funds.
Yes,
that's misappropriation of funds.
I'm not saying this every church. I'm not saying this every church. Just in case somebody, people be misunderstood. I'm just talking about the people that be misunderstood.
Just the corrupt ones. Just the corrupt ones.
Just the corrupt ones. Just all of
because
the corrupt ones.
If you didn't do it in private, you would not be concerned about the public review.
Right.
Because what is damning to the Baptist Church is that they, or the Southern Baptist Convention, they pride themselves on this high level of integrity.
Yes, correct. Yes.
And then they preach moral decomposition to people as if they should have it as it. But we don't address the fact that the church broke the people that you're saying should have the moral composition to that. Y'all did that. It wasn't the pews. Y'all did that. Now, I will say this, shifting to how things that church could do. I think we need to point to a couple of things that they can do. that pastors can start to do.
Still a
My home
foundation.
church in Orange, Starlight Church of God in Christ, Superintendent Ernest Lindsay, First Lady Josie Lindsay, actually had a trauma series weekend. They hired and brought in therapists, and they spent a whole Friday evening and an all-day Saturday in a workshop where they actually had a chance to say out loud the things that hurt, that their tears were only able to write about. They did a burning ceremony because some things were so steep that you just needed to write it down and you needed to see it burn away so no one could ever see it again. Then they did a balloon ceremony where you could put some things in a balloon and you can release it and let it go. Yeah. Now, I'm saying all of that to say, when people tell you, especially in the Pentecostal Holiness Church, we'll tell you, oh, baby, you need to go get delivered. But we never give you tools or instructions on how to do that.
And then not only just how to do it, but to remain in that. Because my job is to give you the sustainability.
And so the sustainability. So now, instead of turning people into Christian counselors at the church, because you're not going to talk to your own. What they've done, they bring the therapists come in, they train, they teach, they work through the process. And so now that has become a part of their ministry programming to keep the membership going. Now, I want to be clear that my pastor and first lady are well over the 80 and a couple. And they are doing progressive ministry in a city with less than 20,000, with a budget less than a mega church. If they have figured that out, then the question has to be asked, what are you doing?
So, Bishop, can I throw this out there for us as a challenge? Can we put together something and we host it? We get some folks and we do it for your church. You got about 10 churches you're pastoring. We want your 10.
Rita,
okay.
I got you. I got him for you, baby. I got him for you. And Mac in the back, you can turn off his mic and his camera at this point.
Wait a minute. It is still
my show. Go on, Marty.
Right.
It's your show.
It's still my show, Bishop.
It is. But you're not gonna call my sister too many more times like that. Like that's not what's gonna happen.
Yeah, she know I love her. But we bring your two churches. Bishop, we bring the churches that you oversee with that. And we get as many churches as we can that's in our fellowships. And we bring in these professional people. I'll get all the therapists and we can even talk through the topics that we want to do. And even if each of them just gave us a little love offering to give to these servants, so we can put together how to heal in the midst of the times of hurting. And so we're now empowering them.
Needed, Marty. I really think that's something that's needed. And I think it's something that you need to not only offer to just us as an incubator, but I think it's something you need to look at to offer, period. I think this is something very organic, but I think it's something you definitely need to look at and put it out there. I mean, you could practice with us forever, but I think what you're suggesting, I think it needs to go far-reaching. I really, really do.
And I'll tell you, I agree with you, Dr. Stewart. There's a lady in Carolina, Apostle Tiffany Adams. She's an apostle pastor, but she has something called a heal retreat, where they actually do the meditations. They focus on spiritual practices. They don't just preach Jesus. They walk you through meditation, decompression. They walk you through how you can change your eating habits and what you should be eating to make yourself when you look at what they're talking about. Even though she's a Christian pastor, she's also looking at you holistically versus just spiritually.
Yes,
it's saying it's very true, Marty. We have got to start looking at. Okay, fine. We get you through this process. Now we got to work on getting your diabetes under control and your blood pressure under control, because you've been depressed so long. Your body is not, what do you call it, Rita? It's unbalanced. It's all of that is out of pocket now. So high blood pressure on medicine is nothing but slow kidney disease. So you're going to end up dialysis. So you got to get yourself together.
But it
I say it
also,
all the time.
what we're saying is too, with this trauma and all, there needs to be a
Yes.
treatment plan, because it's not enough to
Yes.
do a diagnosis. Y'all, we already know we sick. Okay, that's clear. We already know
Right.
we're sick, but there needs to be a real treatment plan. And
Yes.
I love it that this one is doing this and this one is doing that. But those of us that are in church leadership need to have access to resources. And so with therapeutic services being online, that's why I'm trying to push this with you, Marty. I believe this is something that could be online, and even if it's some type of
Most
webinar that
definitely.
the church paid for,
Yes.
$65 to get on, and everybody share the phone together. I mean,
Yeah.
something. But then
It's
Yes.
there.
exactly, and that
Yeah.
therapeutic treatment plan could be set up for at least some of the churches that may have individuals that have dealt with trauma. So one of the churches that I'm at, the trauma that I'm
Mm-hmm.
seeing. Praise
Mm-hmm.
the Lord.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am. So we gonna get them all set up. Yeah,
And we
we
need a
are. Can you
treatment
believe?
plan.
I want to get you a treatment plan too, because we coming out to do some treatment work. Amen. And Bobby,
Yes.
you got to come on out there with us when we're going to do
Please,
these
Bobby.
installations.
Where are
Yes,
we talking about? Houston, Philly? I'm all in. That's sisters
yes.
everywhere.
Philly, kind of, not so much, but close
It's
enough
okay.
that you can
It's
pass
okay.
through it.
It's okay. It's
Yeah,
okay.
you
You
can
can have
pass
Look,
through.
chocolate
You can,
everywhere. 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 Look at
So I
God.
just want
Get
to go on
God.
the record. It's got to be before it snow. The Lord don't talk
it
about
will
it snow.
be.
oh yeah.
No, I know we'll get stuck. Y'all
Yeah, yeah,
already
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. He
Yeah.
don't. Yeah, he don't. He and I have no communication in snow. So I just want to be clear.
It's all good. It,
Yes, that he might
all
be
good.
speaking. I just am unable to
Yo,
hear.
we didn't even hit on about 10 more topics I had tonight.
Tell
But
us.
Going
I
in. We was
love you
going in
guys.
tonight.
You know,
We was going
we
in
was
tonight.
going in. We was going
Yes.
in, in all caps. We're gonna go straight to this, Dr. Story. How can the people continue to find you, Dr. Sean? And one comment, Dr. Sean, find you one comment. Bobby, one comment, find you one more comment, and then we're gonna exit up out of here.
Dr. Story, ladies first.
Okay. Well, you guys can find me on social media at Dr. Story or Dr. Margarita Story. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. You can find me at the New Hope Baptist Church at Corona, Queens, New York, or Ebenezer Baptist Church of Williamsport, or Impact Christian Fellowship, or These Are the Daughters. So you can find me
Yes,
all over the
yes,
place. And every day we do prayer at noon, where I ask the question, will you pray with me? Thanks, Marty, for having me on.
yes.
I appreciate you.
Always, I appreciate you as well, Bishop.
All right, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, just using my name, SHON, Sean Stewart. You can find me there. If we're on YouTube, you can also find me on the church's website, www.fchouston.org. And you can connect with me there on all platforms. I do my best to check on things, but if you formally want to get my undivided attention, please go to the church website. There's a form to connect with me. Fill that out so I can get you on my calendar so I can actually have time, undisturbed time, to spend with you about whatever it is that's on your heart. Always good to see you all. We're going to do better next time.
Yeah, Bobby.
I thought we did all right. Bishop.
Right, we did. I
okay,
wish they
that's
say something, and I wish they say something. Say something.
No doubt.
something.
No doubt. Hey, you can find me on Facebook. Go to Rob Sellers. You can find me on Instagram. Rob_B Sales. Check me out at the B-Side Podcast Q on Instagram. Check us out on YouTube under Bobby Sellers. Also, you can go to alecroberts.com, get some merchandise, check out some AR gear. We got hats, we got t-shirts, we got sweatshirts. Check us out. And then, final say I would like to say, let's get into our blackness. Let's dive into our blackness. Group economics, group exercising, group economics. That's it.
Thank you. As always, y'all, we thank you for joining us for our topics with culture, community, and Christ with Reverend Dr. Margarita Story, Bishop Dr. Sean Stewart, and about to be Bishop Rob Sellers. And we just so excited.
Almost had me cursing, brother. Almost had me cursing. Hey. Hey,
We don't want you to continue to suffer in silence in the shadow of shame, but we want you to speak up, speak out, and live. We'll see you next time.
Baby.
That was a close call.